Good evening. Welcome to another Friday night session with myself, Buckets, and my mentor and hero, Horsy. Hi, how are you?
Hi, yeah, good. Yeah, you good?
Okay, so tonight's cat space conversation is about mental health and mental health well-being, so to speak, and what we can do to
Mm,
cheer each other up, encourage each other, support each other, uplift and encourage each other, to be there for each other and show kindness and empathy and understanding, and to sort of help people out there to make them smile again and go, you are not alone in the situation. I understand you, and to put the positives and to take away the negatives, basically.
mm,
So what is mental health? Horsey was
Yes.
asking.
Yes. So you got to remember that mental health is probably a little more important than physical health. I mean, physical health is really, really important. But if you can't cope mentally, then it becomes a domino effect and basically affects everything else. So it's really, really, really important. So it's really the functionality of your mind.
Or mental health can affect your physical health.
It
Yes.
certainly can. Yes, it
Mm.
certainly can.
It can also affect you emotionally, like for someone like myself who feels at times I'm not strong enough, or I'm not sort of, I can't be bothered getting out of bed. I know that there's a world out there, and I talk to
Mm.
and I myself talk to a counselor, and I feel much better after. And I think it's important that it's not just counselors, like we reach out to friends and family, and we stay connected, and we
Mm.
bring each other closer. Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, mental health doesn't just have to mean seeing a doctor, seeing a counselor. Mental health could literally just mean going outside and having fun with your friends,
Mm.
or talking to someone, or even just playing video games all day. Something that you like to do, um, and something that keeps you happy. It doesn't have to be the standard, oh, I'm going to go to a clinic and get some pills, and that's going to be my mental health covered. The truth is, that's like the brink, or the little tip of the iceberg when it comes to mental health. And it's just so...
Well, all those things you've mentioned, all those things you talked about in the last couple of minutes, indicate that if we're alone, we lose perspective. And it's relationships with other people that help our mental health. If we're on our own, like Robinson Crusoe, he went mad because he had no contact with anybody else really for a long, long time. And if you do that, then we do lose perspective, and we may think we're okay, but we actually don't realize we're not. So relationships with other people is very important, because they remind us of who we are, as we remind them of who they are. And that does help our mental well-being, certainly does.
I think it's important as well, if we look at it, we are, I know I've stated this before like a broken record, but we are in the worst, dangerous, most time of our lives. And I think when COVID first struck, it was sort of like as if it was the be all and end all, but what it's done, it's made people feel sad. It's made people feel isolated, away from their friends, away from their loved ones. They can't. Now we can all visit each other, and we can see each other and spend time together, but before you couldn't. And that felt like you were imprisoned in your own home. You couldn't go anywhere, you couldn't do anything, you couldn't see anyone. And I think now slowly we're starting to come out of that, and we're having to go sing or listen to music, or I find mental health and well-being for me is to sort of take a moment where you can have a shower and cleanse yourself, or better yet, go to YouTube and turning on meditation, turning on meditation and listening to the ocean, or to rain, or to birds, or something that will help you meditate and go to that place and go, I feel better.
Well,
what about you?
One of the things actually it's really, really important that I got taught in psychology was how important it is to have a partner. And the reason why it's really important to have a partner, apart from starting a family and whatever, is the fact that when you're angry and upset and annoyed at the world, if you've got a partner that can see the world from another perspective, that's one way that they can go, well, there's another way of looking at things. It's not Armageddon yet, my love. And that's really good for coming back and centering yourself and going, well, it's really not that bad. I mean, I've just spilt some milk. We don't have to basically ring up dairy farmers and start a war with them.
Well, again, it's just someone who can listen to what you're saying.
Mm.
Even if some of what you're saying is a bit over the top at the time, can just sit and listen and understand and say, right, and like a sounding board, someone to bounce off. And that goes back to the importance of relationships. But Philip, you've studied psychology.
I have.
So I'm interested in your perspective on this. I think that a lot of what are called mental health problems these days are actually overrated. And if you look far enough, in every person, you will find something wrong with their mental health. If you look far enough, that's all you've got to do. And so a lot of things which are perceived to be mental health problems are actually not that serious, but they're treated as if they are. So from your studies and from your experience of that, what's your perspective on that view?
Well, the truth is everyone's got mental health problems. That's the first thing. There isn't one person that really doesn't have mental health problems at some point in time. It really depends on what type of mental health problems you're talking about. I mean, like there are times in people's lives where people will feel depressed about a number of things, whether they've had someone die in their life, or maybe their favorite television show has just ended. It could be.
Well, those are things that you can't get over. I mean, I guess what I'm talking about is the perception that there are some things that you just can't get over, or you need help to get over, whereas actual fact you can if you try.
It depends.
And the reliance on treatment rather than your own, friendships and relationships, and as what would happen years ago, these days people tend to go running to a specialist.
What's your?
And I don't think that's a good thing.
Well, it depends. So the thing is, there's many routes to. So in college, I got taught something called cognitive behavioral therapy, and that was a preferred form of therapy as opposed to psychotherapy, which would basically take a really, 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 really long time, whilst the psychologist would get really, 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 really rich and basically not resolve that much. But the one thing about CBT, why it was so good, is because if you could basically work out what was going on in the mind, then that could change the behavior. And if you got a situation where a person could see all the positives of the world, as opposed to turning to the negatives of the world, they would actually be better off, and they could effectively self-heal. And a lot of charities liked CBT because it was fairly cheap to administer. The only one problem with CBT is that it doesn't really have an end. The only time it really ends is when you, as a client, decides to stop seeing the counselor. That's the only time it actually stops. But it is a very, very useful tool that was used with a lot of clinicians that I met. And eventually, over a period of time, you could change your behavior very quickly when you started to self-reflect and started seeing the world from a different perspective. So I guess to better answer your question, again, it depends. I mean, there are people that are chronically depressed, and these are people that go through trauma, but there is a way out. But they have to see the way out. They have to physically see the way out, that there is light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. Otherwise, they're going to be continually depressed. But there's short-term depression, which can be fixed really, really quickly. But then you've got long-term depression, which takes a bit longer. But nothing's impossible, I will say that.
I think it takes a lot of sort of empathy and understanding and kindness, and in a strange, peculiar way, the one thing that COVID has taught us is that we need to be more empathetic and more kind, and that kindness is now more so than ever before in the last, say, 10, 15 years, 5 years, is more rampant than ever, that now people aren't afraid to go, hey, I'm lonely, or I feel low, or I'm sad. I want to talk to somebody. I need help, or I just want to talk. And you could sort of look at that person and go, well, talk to me. I'm always here for you. And, I'm always here to listen and sort of.
COVID certainly has forced some people to think of others, even if it's in terms of washing their hands before you go into a shop or whatever, that sort of thing. All that stuff that was brought in, that has forced people to think of others. I'm not sure that it's really resulted in any more kindness in the way you're talking about it. I mean, you mentioned there's a beginning of our discussion, Kat, about kindness, encouragement and empathy. Those are the things that are present in good relationships. That gets back to my point about relationships are the most important thing. And if you're isolated, so I wouldn't say COVID has had a great effect on our society in many ways at all, actually. But aside from the fact that it forced people to consider others for a time.
I personally think that this whole COVID stuff has really forced people to really undertake a sense of duty, if anything. I think so there's more. I'm not sure about kindness, but I definitely get the sense that we have a new sense of duty to ensure that we don't make other people sick. And we didn't, I mean, before duty was just kind of a duty to the country if you served in a war or something, or you served as a soldier or as a navyman or a pilot or whatever.
It's kind of like,
but now it's like this is a duty that you owe to your countrymen, your countrywomen, your community, because it's not fair that if you get sick, you're going to infect everyone else. So if you look at it, it's a little bit of guilt in a way.
If you look at it as
it has been a guilty thing for some, and the government regulations have been a bit over the top, I think, and so that does engender a bit of guilt. And I don't think it's all there all that encouraging, but that's another story. If you
look at it, it kind of does affect our community and each other, because even though we're able to do a lot of things, like our next door neighbors were frail and can't do much and are scared, you could go, oh, do you want me to do your shopping for you? Or do you want me to help you put the groceries away, or mow your lawns? Or just knock on the door and going, how are you coping? Are you okay? Going in for a quick cup of tea or coffee or biscuits, and just sort of cooking for that next door neighbor. And as Philip said, we have a duty to our countrymen, or basically our community, that we need to respect our elders and sort of go out there and go, just come knock at my door. You're welcome anytime. Call me. Or, it feels like, even though we have this Are You Okay Day once a year, every year, I think it should be now more so than ever.
It almost feels like Are You Okay Day has just turned into Are You Okay Year.
Yeah, which is now.
The point of Are You Okay Day, is you're supposed to listen to the answer to the question. It's not just saying, are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. You okay? Yeah, I'm okay. Thanks very much, and carry on. If someone's not okay, you're supposed to be, and equally, that person is supposed to be allowed to say, well, no, actually, I'm not okay. Yeah. Oh, tell me why. And there's a conversation that comes from that. That's the point of Are You Okay Day. So, but it's something in my view that should be there all the time.
It should be there now. It should be
on one day. I know and it seems as if things like Are You Okay Day are largely aimed at men, because men don't share. And if a fella's got a problem, he just doesn't share with his mates, and he just says, oh yeah, everything's fine, she'll be right, it's okay. He doesn't admit that there's anything wrong. And so that's what I get from that. But kindness, encouragement, getting back to those things you mentioned at the beginning, Kat. So how do we engender those things in each other?
Well, there is one thing actually. Sorry for interrupting, but I remember actually studying something in school about people when they go. There's something about exercising, and when you exercise with another person, when you say go for a run or a jog, or even a walk with another person, for some reason you're able to open up more for some reason whilst exercising than if you were sitting at home and watching television.
I mean,
Well, you see people doing that, don't you? When they're going for a run or going for a walk, they're talking.
Yes,
You see that all the time. So that's right.
that's
like
one way.
now, like for example, take today, for example, we were sitting at home having lunch and we were talking about just, we in the house, we're at home, surrounded by a door and surrounded by walls. Yes, we can go shopping. Yes, we can do this and that, but majority of the time, we don't think about going outside and being spontaneous, and whether it's going to the city or whether it's going to a garden or whether it's walking across the street or to the shops. We need to now more so than ever get out of the house and breathe. But even though now masks aren't so much mandatory, but even though we're wearing them, we should go out and breathe fresh air, because psychologically it stuffs up your psyche. It makes you go crazy and you're going, I can't survive at home. Can we feed our kids? Can we pay the rent? Can we do this? Can we do that? This is the world we've never woken up to. We've never seen happen. We've never seen before. And this is definitely like a Twilight Zone type of world universe. Like now it's different. It's more so, no, I need to, for my own mental health, I need to get out of the house. I need to call a friend and invite a friend over. It's always important to get out of the house and do something.
Well, I spend a lot of time outside. In fact, I probably venture to say I spend most of my waking hours outdoors, whether it's just on the veranda or somewhere there. I'm rarely inside for extended periods of time. So I guess I get a fair bit of fresh air. But I think another point is, as far as mental health goes, as far as how we're going, is to look at the things that we have, or the things that we, not just things we possess, but the joys there are in this life that we have. I mean, we can go for a walk, we can do this, we can do that. We do have friends, we do have family members, we do have all these things, as opposed to looking at the things that we don't like. I mean, there's always a few of them, and we can dwell on them. And you did allude to this before, Kat. I think we should, a way of encouraging others is to show them that we're actually glad of many things in our own lives and we're happy about them, even though we may not be happy about absolutely everything, which is impossible, really. You can't be happy about everything. But to have that joy, I mean, you can have joy in life without necessarily having a smile on your face at the time. You can be joyful, but actually not happy or even annoyed about something at that time. So if we concentrate, as you said before, on the good things and say, well, these are the things that I do have. I mean, at the basic level, there are some people who can't go for a walk. There are some people who can't get out of bed, who have to be fed through a tube and all that sort of. There are some people with various injuries and various disabilities that we don't have. So we can be kind of glad of that we have those abilities. Not to say that, that those people are lesser human beings or anything like that, but we can be glad of the various joys we have in this life.
So here's my
question.
So
that will enormously help our mental health.
Here's my question to you is, or to both of you in general, is how do we excite each other? How do we motivate each other again? How do we move each other? How do we motivate each other? What can we do with that?
Well, one of the things that it's interesting that you mentioned motivate, because I was staying with some friends ages ago before I met you, and one of the things they did help me with was actually motivation. and they said, why don't you write a list? And I said, okay, fine. I'll write a list of everything that I need doing. And then that's basically get a job, clean up my room, do the washing up, etc. And they said, okay, you've got some stuff. Why don't you write as your number one thing to write a list? Like literally write on the list to write a list. Because if you write to write a list, you can cross that off as one thing you've already accomplished. And then you can say, that's that one thing that I've accomplished for today. And even if I don't do the rest of the things, I can still say, I've done one thing on that list. So if you can do at least one thing on a list or on any list, or even just doing basic housework chores, at least you can say, this is what I did today. And just basically enjoy the fact that you're capable of doing that one thing. Because even though there might be all this horrible stuff going on in the world, at least you can go and say, you know what, I did that one thing well. And for me, it was I wrote a list well. So that was that one thing for me. And I think everyone should do that.
It's interesting how when you make a list or you have a plan of things you want to achieve, when you achieve that first thing, you can then build on that, and you'll generally achieve the second and third things as well. Because if you didn't have that plan, then you may not even, you'll start one thing and then I do this myself. I start one job and I think, oh no, there's something else. Oh yeah, I'll go and start on that. And I've half done this job. And then I've half done another job. And I end up getting to halfway through the day and think I'm not really achieving much at all. I may as well go and have a sleep now. To hell with it. And so I don't get much done at all. But when I'm actually acting and planning, it's amazing how one builds on the other.
Like for me, this whole podcasting thing started 2 weeks ago exactly, and I thought I'm sick and tired of being down on my luck and depressed, and how can I excite myself, how can I motivate myself and encourage myself to do things I know I'm great at, I know I can achieve, and how can I connect with people outside, and how can I influence them, and how can I put a smile on someone's face? And I wrote down podcasting. I've done radio work, that's still my goal, but I'll get into podcasting because I know that's something I can achieve. I can, have a mentor like you, have my partner, have, sort of people on the outside relating to us, relating to me and going, oh, wow, if she can do that,
Then
I can do that.
Then others can. And that's where it becomes this wonderful domino effect for the good, because they'll go, oh, if she can do that, then imagine what I can do. But the biggest, when I was running stress management programs back in the day with my business partner, one of the things that we would do is we would get potatoes, right? And we'd get these McDonald's straws that we would basically nick from Macca's and pretend that we would basically order something when we really weren't going to order anything.
To the point.
And basically we'd get them all, get all our clients and basically get some potatoes and get them to pierce the straw through the potatoes. And you guys should basically try this trick at home. It's a really cool trick. And you look at this potato and you go, there is no way that I can pierce a straw through a potato. But you actually, if you say to yourself, follow through, and you pierce a McDonald's straw through a potato, it will go all the way through. And so the moral of the story is, if you want to accomplish something or if you want to be motivated, you have to follow through. And you can't give up, because if you give up, you don't accomplish anything.
Even through this is my 30-year experience, and I've been in radio 3 years now. I'm studying, and I think it's important that we can wake each other up, and we can. It's not all downhills. There are uphills, and there are uphills to being able to smile again and laugh again. And I just want to say to whoever watches this that there is a way to accomplish and achieve, and there is a way for healing. And I think it's important when the healing starts in here, and it'll sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? bounce off to everybody else, and it sort of becomes, as you said, like a domino effect where everyone else will start smiling.
Well, so to distill what we've talked about tonight into 1 or 2 sentences: do what you do well, and don't be afraid to do it.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
And
And you know, I've
it'll just work.
never known an age. I've never known an age when you can use your creativity so quickly and so easily
That's very
on the
true.
internet. You can get yourself out there on the internet within a few minutes.
Mm.
Whereas in decades past, it was much more difficult to do it. You had to find a channel. Whereas everybody's now got a channel.
That's right. And
Yeah.
I feel kind of stupid saying this, but now that we've encouraged everyone to do this, we're going to have all this competition now. But that's
I
another
think-
And
story.
it doesn't matter how bad you think. It doesn't matter how bad you think your creative performance or whatever it is. You know, it doesn't matter how bad you think you are. If you look out there, you'll find someone who's worse than you are.
Of course, and I think
That's a comfort, or that you think is worse than you are.
there
Not
are a
saying
lot of
they
people
are.
who there are a lot of people who have it far worse than us put together. But as you know,
There's always someone worse.
Just don't
But
tell them.
the thing is,
Just don't tell them you
Just
think
don't tell
they're
them, yeah.
worse than you are. Don't
but the
do
thing
that.
is, when, as Philip said, and as you said, when you set your mind to a mission or a goal or a vision, you set your mind on a journey that's, you don't have to run a marathon for you can run a race, but to begin that race you've got to learn to crawl, and from crawling you begin to walk, from walking you run, from run you jump,
And then after that, you fly.
exactly. But the thing is, when you set your mind to something, anything, there's always a reason to come back and go and smile and go, I did that for me. I didn't do it for anybody else but me, and I feel good.
And it doesn't matter where you are in the race,
Exactly.
Yeah.
as long as you're making forward progress.
Exactly.
Actually,
It's-
I used to do that actually. So people used to come up to me sometimes in karaoke and they would tell me how I'm meant to sing for some reason. And I would say to them all the time, without doubt, I mean, in the beginning anyway, I sing for me, I don't sing for you. So you don't tell me how to sing.
I believe hit the nail on the head, which is, I do life for me. I don't do life for you. I do life for me because life is, what I make it to be. Life is a challenge, but life isn't all downhills, darlings. It's all about uphills. It's all about spontaneity. You got to be, sometimes it's fun to be spontaneous and get out of that headspace and going, no, I'm determined. I can do this. I'm going to be an athlete. I'm going to be a swimmer. I'm going to be a singer. I'm going to be a dancer. I'm going to be an actor. I'm going to be a podcaster, right? Whatever you want to be. It's that moment of going, I did life for me, not for you.
Well, it is the uphills. If you go cycling, you'll know that it's the uphills, which are hard, that make the downhills worth it.
That's actually true. That's actually true. Because my brother's a massive cyclist in England. And, I think he spent something like $6,000 on his bike. 6,000 pounds, sorry. 6,000 pounds on his bike, which is, I mean, in my opinion, he should have just bought a car. But yeah, that's how much he spent for his bike. But yeah, he would be riding up the uphills and just racing down the downhills. But it's the challenge that he enjoys.
The last thing I want to say about this is, when it comes to mental health and well-being, it's meditation is key. Meditate, cleanse. Whether you're in the shower, whether you're dancing or singing around the house, whether you're doing house chores, whether you're shopping, meditation is key.
And meditation doesn't need to be some Buddhist dude basically showing him his total kit with some in the background. No, you can basically listen to John Denver if you want to, and that would still be considered meditation.
Or listen to the ocean.
It's not really clearing your mind. Like, there's some people who say clear your mind completely, But
I
the
think-
trouble is, when you clear your mind completely, then all sorts of things jump in there, and sometimes
know,
they're the wrong
when-
things.
when
It's more focusing your mind.
Yeah,
I
when
think.
I'm feeling low and sad and a bit depressed, what I do is I'll say to Philip, I don't feel like myself. And then what I'll do is I'll sit on the bed, I'll go to YouTube and I'll put like a virtual aquarium or a virtual fish tank or the ocean. And that's what I do to sleep. I put on a virtual aquarium and I watch the fish and
something that helps you.
I watch the
For me,
fish
it's
swim
coffee.
around, and then I fall asleep at the sound of the water. It makes me sort of relax, and my body's relaxed, and I'm falling asleep, and I wake up and it's still playing. And it's sort of like that moment of zen. Like meditation is key, I think.
Or whatever it is
it'll make you go to the toilet, because when you hear the
for our mental health, and let's end on this tonight.
Yeah.
For our mental health, it's finding something that helps you.
Yep.
For you, it's fish on YouTube. That would drive me batty. But for me, it's coffee and chocolate.
Oh yes, that too. That too. Coffee and
eating
day.
and drinking. Eating and drinking is something which I enjoy. Perks,
Chocolate
yeah.
and coffee.
But
I love
yeah,
my coffee
so
in the morning.
find something you enjoy and make your contribution to the world.
That's right.
And find your balance.
And you don't need to basically cure cancer, although it would be nice if you can do that. But just basically enjoy yourself and have a good time.
And find your balance.
That's a story for another day. Good night, Kat. Good night, Phil.
Thank you for joining
Good night,
us.
all.
See you next week.
Right.
Bye.